Hey, what's up, everybody? Today is August 1st, 2025, and it was 4 years ago today that I sat here and started recording the Path to Freedom video series. It was a follow up to my Manifesting a New Reality, and I wanted to do a new introduction to it because honestly it starts out a little bit slow. I was coming out of 4 months of a very deep depression at the time, and I was having a hard time finding the motivation to do anything because I had lost my stepsister to cancer in late March of 2021. And it was devastating to me because she was the most important person to me in my life. She was the one that I talked to multiple times a week for hundreds and hundreds of hours over 11 years from 2010 up to her death, talking about, she was fully awake, and we talked about natural law and the problems and the solutions, and she helped me develop, all of my ideas for the books and what would ultimately become the Freedom Project 2020, my websites, my business, and she was literally the only person in the world that I could talk to, other than my father, who will give me his ear, but not nearly as much time as Heather gave me. So it was devastating to lose that one person that you could reach out to. And I don't think I've fully recovered yet. I still kind of live in a state of perpetual depression and go for days, weeks, and months sometimes without trying to find the motivation to continue this work, because many days it just seems futile and fruitless because nobody's listening, nobody's paying attention, everybody's stuck in their lane that they found. And one of the things I've observed about the truther community, if you want to call it that, is that I'd say over 90% of people who wake up to the truth end up taking the black pill, and they get stuck in this loop of creating awareness as if that's going to turn the tide. And I quite honestly, I got stuck in that trap for the first 3 years after 2007 before I realized that this isn't helping. The people who are awake in this world are the ones who want to be awake, are the ones who care, are the ones who can see through the veils of illusion, the ones who can't be fooled. And if you're not awake by now after what happened in the last 5 years since the whole pandemic psyop, you're not going to wake up. They're not coming around. What needs to happen is those of us who are awake, and I've been saying this for years now, we need to unite. And we need to move in a direction. And that's what this video series is all about. This Path to Freedom video series is about, what do we do? How do we get there? I created Manifesting a New Reality beginning in January of 2021 as a vision and, I guess, blueprint for a new social order aligned fully with natural law. And that's what I did. I laid out an indictment of the system. I laid out a new system, and this is how it would work. This is why natural law is the only guide we need. And that's what Manifesting a New Reality was about. And so that's this video series right here. I only ended up doing 10 of the 12 parts because, shockingly, tens of thousands of people have viewed it, but very little interest. And what do we do now? People just forget, and they always seem to just revert back to creating awareness. Okay, well, let me ask you this. What do you plan to do once you create this awareness? Once you pull people out of the matrix, what is your plan? What then? Do you have a plan? What do you think is going to happen after that? Do you think enough people is going to wake up and some people just think there's going to be spontaneous order in the world it's not going to work that way. Nothing happens in this world unless you have a plan. And you have a plan of action to achieve that goal. And that's what this Path to Freedom is all about. So just real quickly, part one is about we never get anywhere in life unless we have a destination. Where are we going? That's what part one is all about. And again, it does start out a little bit slow because I was coming out of that deep depression. And I knew I had to start creating videos again. And so the first 4 minutes are a little bit slow, but then I find my groove. So give it 4 minutes, then I get into the groove, and it's only about maybe 15 minutes after that for the total of the video. But the purpose of the video is to say, look, we're never going to get anywhere unless we have a goal. If we all need to be moving in the same direction, because the enemy is moving us in the same direction. They're herding us into the digital panopticon, and we know that's coming. We don't know when it's going to happen, when that final shoe is going to fall, when they pull the plug on the worldwide economy. And it's been promised to us by Klaus Schwab at Cyber Polygon twice. He said it's going to be worse. What did he say? He said the cyber pandemic is going to be worse than COVID.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. To use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons the cybersecurity community can draw and improve our preparedness for a potential cyber pandemic.
So we know how bad that was. Imagine all communication is cut off, and they're going to blame it on a foreign adversary so they can go to war. It's what they always do. This is their playbook. But their solution is going to be the fully digital economy, where you're not going to have any anonymity, no freedom. Everything's going to be tracked and traced, and it will essentially be the mark of the beast. You don't get to buy or sell unless you are part of the system. The only way to avoid that is for the 8 billion people who outnumber the controllers by over 1,000,000 to 1, admittedly, from one of their insiders, to say, look, we're not going to do it. Here's a plan right here. Jake has actually offered us a plan. I think maybe we should take a look at this. It's fully aligned with natural law, which we're all bound to anyway, no matter what we believe or think or whatever. Natural law is just there. It's always in effect. If you violate it, you're going to suffer a negative consequence. It's as simple as that. If you align with it, you're going to reap the benefits. That's what natural law is, and that's how it works. So that's what this video series is about. Part two is about the power of simplicity. We live in a world that's been created to be so complex and confusing that we have to outsource our thinking and our decision making to experts and authorities. It's been created that way by design. I've created something that's so simple, a 5-year-old could understand it. Because anybody can understand 4 simple moral maxims of natural law. The 3 liberal arts, grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Everybody can understand these things. And we start to pull ourselves out of the matrix by seeing the world with fresh eyes. That's why I've created all of the content that I've created, to show people this is how we do it. This is how we get to a new world, a better reality. Parts 3 and 4 I cover The Strangest Secret in the World from Earl Nightingale. Essentially, we become what we think about. So, what I see in social media every day, 95% of the people are talking about the problems. They're just incessantly talking about the problems, and this is the world we're going to have. And when you say that, it's all you're thinking about. That's what we're going to become. you know, we become what we think about. That's the strangest secret in the world. So parts 3 and 4 are about that. Part 5 is I talk about the documentation to create the breakaway civilization, the natural law republic. And then part 6, I actually read the Declaration of Independence that I've written. That I propose everybody sign, and we choose a date once we have a critical mass of 10% or 35 million here in America, and we declare our independence from the system. You send it to your congressman and your senator, saying, I'm a sovereign individual. I now abide by this new constitution, and I'm no longer under your jurisdiction. If 35 million people did that, there is nothing they can do to stop us. They do not have the resources. And if 10% of the population breaks free of the system, the other 90% will eventually follow us, because we have a better reality. We have an economic system that allows you to keep 100% of your income. We have an economic system that is debt-free. We have an economic system that allows every single person to achieve their full potential in life and live in full abundance. The system we have now doesn't. The system is designed to extract your energy through numerous different means, to the point of it literally robs you of half of your wealth. And it gives it to a small percentage of the population that are predatory, they're parasitic, and they're psychopathic. And they live off of the creative capacity of 8 billion people, because they don't create anything themselves. All they've done is they created the system that essentially is a vampire. The Babylon system is the vampire. Bob Marley said, sucking the children day by day. And if we want out of this system, we have to create the alternative. And that's what my work is all about. And I try and share it with people, and I get ridiculed. People say I'm arrogant and egotistical for thinking I can think up something better than the founding fathers. Well, we've got 250 years of history to know what went wrong, because I've actually built everything on the original Declaration of Independence, on the original Constitution. But the Constitution, as opposed to being written under positive law, which I talked about in my Freedom Under Natural Law conference presentation earlier this year, positive law is simply made up law. It's just made up by the people in control to control everyone else. That's all it means. Natural law is created by our Creator. All right? We're all bound to it whether we like it or not. So if we align a system and a constitution, which I've written to fully align with natural law, we're all equal. Everybody is an equal sovereign. Nobody has power over anybody else in this system. And the people who have looked at it and who are sharing my work, people like Angel Lacey and Ken Ashcroft and Tommy Maddox, they share my work every single day with people because they know. They've actually looked at it, and they know the power of what I've proposed. They understand this is how we break free. This is how we do it peacefully. This is how we do it with no violence. Because as soon as we remove our energy from the system dies. It lives on our energy that it extracts from us through illegitimate contracts, positive law, and theft and violence, because they control us through fear, through the media. And all I'm doing is proposing, hey, here's a plan. Here's a solid plan of action. It's turnkey. All we need to do is create a critical mass, and we can free the world. And more often than not, I get criticized for that, or I get ignored. People can't be bothered to take the time. So again, I just wanted to do a quick introduction to this video series because it's been largely overlooked. But so this is it. This is the plan to free humanity. This is on my website, the Freedom Project 2020. Click on the home right here. There's a drop-down menu. Click on the plan to free humanity. It'll bring you right here. Introduction. We need a new declaration. So I highlight the parts of the Declaration of Independence that show us what to do. When government has become destructive of its ends, it's our right and our duty to abolish and replace it. That's what I've highlighted there. So that's what I've done. All the original goals and outlines from November 12, 2020, I've fulfilled my promises of everything I said I was going to do here. 10 bullet points. I've done it all. It's all available. The foundational documentation, which I talk about in the Path to Freedom video series, Personal Declaration of Independence, a new constitution for a natural law republic based in natural law, not positive law. And then the system, the checks and balances of the system are 3 social contracts. Personal sovereignty social contract, a public service administration social contract, and a business accountability social contract. So those are the 3 parts of society. All the individuals, because we are the market, we are the creators. There's a public service administration to maintain the monetary system, the court system, and pretty much the roadways. Anything that doesn't make sense in a free market system. And then all businesses. That's pretty much a society, right? And these are the checks and balances. And it's all based on contracts. Everybody has a contract with every single other person in society. And again, we're all equal. No one's above anybody else in this system. Manifesting new reality is the vision. Path to freedom is the roadmap. Creating a natural law republic is the structure, the infrastructure of the system. And part 1 of this video series, I talk about our Constitution. What most people don't understand is that our Constitution was only meant to last 1 generation, per the words of Thomas Jefferson and Noah Webster. And I also cover the work of Lysander Spooner, showing that it doesn't have any inherent authority in it whatsoever, because nobody alive is signatory to this Constitution. That's why I created one up here that everybody is signatory to. That's what gives its legitimacy in a natural law republic, because every single person in society is signatory, giving this its authority. And again, the authority is held with the individual. All right, you have to look at the details to understand the power of what I'm proposing here and how it would truly make everybody free in this world if every country converted to a natural law republic. So that's this one, and then the remaining 4 parts I actually read through the Constitution, so you don't have to read 20 pages. I will read it to you, and I explain why it's written the way it is. Then I wrote a series, Emancipation Proclamation 2.022, Building the Breakaway Civilization. And then we've got my Freedom Under Natural Law presentation from earlier this year, showing how positive law has enslaved humanity and how natural law will free humanity. Part 1 is called The True Nature of Our Cage, and part 2 is called the Key to Unlock It. So that's it. I mean, the plan to free humanity is right here. And all we need to do is create a critical mass and walk away. We don't have to worry about what's being done to us. We have to get out of reactive mode, because when they bring down the economic system of the world, we're stuck. It will be almost impossible to break free then. So even if we haven't created it and broken free by then, at least hopefully we'll have millions of people who understand that, hey, this is the solution. What this guy was saying all came true, and now we need to create these communities and come together and create this natural law republic so that we're not swept up in the insanity like happened during COVID. We know what's happening and we know what to do. That's why I created the Freedom Project 2020. That's why I do all I do. And I haven't been paid a dime for this. This is tens of thousands of hours of my life that I've dedicated and sacrificed to free the human race from what I discovered in 2007 after watching America Freedom to Fascism and realizing how the economic system was the key to our enslavement. So one of the things I'm working on right now is a comprehensive economic model fully aligned with natural law that would operate in the natural law republic, and this is how it would work. That's coming soon, but there's plenty out there to watch right now. I'm doing this today because I'm finally going to upload the Plan to Free Humanity onto my YouTube channel, Kaizen and the Pursuit of Truth. It will be up there by the end of the weekend here. So everything will be there. Everything will be on the freedomproject2020.org right there. And all we need to do is direct people to open their minds to a better reality. Open their minds to the realization that we have all the power. Because again, we are the market, we are the creators, we build everything, we create everything, we make everything. And the people that control it all just take the cream off the crop for themselves, and they're buying up the world with this stolen wealth. Right from underneath their feet. They're buying up the farmlands, they're buying up the water rights. They're buying up the rights to all of the natural resources. They don't own it. It's not theirs to own. It's the world's to use. And I show how we use it under natural law in the economic model that I'm proposing. So go subscribe to my YouTube, go subscribe to my Substack, and take the time to watch the videos, because that's what it's all about. That's why I created them. People are asking me questions all the time on Facebook, and I keep directing them back to the videos, because I shouldn't have to keep answering questions that I've already answered in the videos. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say today. I love you guys, and enjoy the rest of this video series. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.